CBS Sports Radio.
An Odyssey station.
Warning.
Man, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is great to be with you again on a Monday morning from the beautiful upstate of South Carolina. This is the Rob Brown Show. What's happening, y'all? Good to be with you one more time again. The most energetic sports talk radio show in all of America is on your radios right this very second. I am Rob Brown, back from a long weekend down in the Sunshine State of Florida. I make my triumphant return. If you saw the banners and heard the trumpets on your way into work this morning, all for me. It was a parade, and I'm glad to be back. Missed you guys. I didn't miss you. I was on the air Friday. I was just doing it from a different state, but I'm glad to be back. It's always good to be home, and this is home. Along for the ride today, the great one, Lonzo, out on vacation today, spending some time over on the beaches of the East Coast of South Kakalaki. So filling in for him today, the most glorious main in all of radio, ladies and gentlemen. We call him T2. I call him the Timinator. My man Tim Snow in. What's up, big fella?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
How you doing, pal?
Dude, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm doing it today, man.
Yeah. I'm here might be the single most appropriate phrase on a Monday morning bright and early. I'm here, you know?
I'm just here, man.
I'm awake. I'm in the building. I made it. I'm here. It's all you can ask for, man.
Yeah.
It's all you can ask for. We're glad to have you, buddy. Thanks for coming in to pull some triggers for us.
Yeah, man, no problem.
We got a lot of stuff to get to on the show today. It's going to be a very, very busy day. I do want to start by making the same complaint that I make every single time that I am on the interstate for any prolonged period of time, and it is this. Ladies and gentlemen, you drive in the right lane, you pass in the left lane. How is this not ingrained in all of you by now?
Yeah, it's insane how many people drive slow in the fast lane.
My
man.
God. So I'm on the way back last night, right? I'm passing Auburn, Alabama. And now, in fairness, it's a little busy around Auburn because Auburn was hosting an NCAA regional baseball game last night. So the interstate was a little backed up, and the weather wasn't spectacular. I mean, it was raining, but not like, it wasn't like, oh God, I'm afraid to drive rain. You know what I mean? Like it was a little rain.
Yeah.
And I'm driving by Auburn, Alabama last night. And as I'm driving past Auburn, Alabama, on what is it, 85, I guess? I'm driving past Auburn, and there is a backup. And I'm like, all right, you know, and at this point, I've passed 2 or 3 accidents, a little bit of road construction. It's the interstate, man. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you got to drive as far as I have to drive, 7.5 hours to get back down to the beaches of Florida, 7.5 hours to get back. You know, I plan when I have to drive, I plan an extra hour in there because you just don't know. So
yeah, man, traffic's crazy, man.
It's insane. So there's this backup, and I'm getting towards the front of the backup, and as I get to the front of the backup, and I will acknowledge, like I do 7 to 9 over the speed limit, right? Like I got told a number of years ago, and granted it was a Florida highway patrolman, but I got told by a Florida highway patrolman about 4 or 5 years ago. He's like, dude, look, if you do 8 over, like, unless you're being an idiot, we're not going to pop you, right? Like, it's 8 over. Filing a citation's a lot of paperwork for us, right? So if it's 7, 8, it is what it is. Now, I'm not endorsing that. I'm just saying what I got told. So, you know, I'm doing 7, 8 over, occasionally 9, because I'm a rebel. And I finally get to the front end of the slope, and I realize The slow up is because there is a semi-truck in the right lane, and I don't know why. And I'm not saying this to besmirch you if you fall in this category. It's just what I've noticed. But people in Mercedes SUVs swear to God the interstate belongs to them and not a damn other person, right?
For me, it's BMWs.
Or just if
It's always a BMW.
If it is a nicer luxury SUV, for whatever reason, the people driving them just swear the road belongs to them and nobody else. And so I finally get to the front, and it is a semi-truck in the right lane, or a semi-tractor trailer in the right lane, and a Mercedes SUV in the left lane doing the exact same speed. And they have traffic backed up for literally a mile because they're both doing about 3 under the speed limit, right? And I'm like, if just either one of you would actually do the speed limit, you would not have traffic backed up a mile at this point. A mile. And the worst part is, I am super passive aggressive when I drive, right? Like I don't fly birds.
See, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought the opposite.
No, listen. I hate confrontation. I avoid confrontation like the plague, right? I do not like confrontation.
Right.
However, I am the most passive aggressive son of a mother you've ever been around in your life, right? Like I will throw the hardest side eyes in the game. And so I don't fly the bird when I'm driving. The other reason being, dude, you've heard the stories of like guy flips off other guy pulls gun and starts shooting, right? And you don't know, you never know, man. You never know. So what I have done, and I don't know, I mean, it's probably just as bad because the intent is there, but instead, T2, I give the most over-exaggerated thumbs up and smile in the world. You know what I mean? I'm just
that would drive me crazy because
great job!
I'm the opposite of that, actually. I'm
Are
the
you
guy.
a bird guy?
Yeah, I'm a bird
bird guy.
Yeah, I will do it if I get mad enough.
I'm not a bird guy. The only way you're catching the bird for me is if I'm already friends with you. If I like you, right? Like if me and you are boys and you do something that ticks me off, I'll be like, bang, right there, pal. Sit and spin, and you'll catch the bird. But I don't I'm not gonna pop the random bird at a Mercedes whatever SUV driving on the road. So I get next. I finally. The semi-truck slows up because I think the semi-truck eventually figured out what was going on, like looked in the rear view and was like, oh God, traffic goes that way. So he finally slows up. The Mercedes passes. By the way, the Mercedes does not get in the right lane once they pass the truck. They're just putting along in the left lane. So I get in the right lane, pass them, and I give the biggest thumbs up smart ass smile that I can give. And here's the thing. They got me back. Because the guy looks over at me and gives me a thumbs up and a smile back, like I was rooting for his favorite baseball team. I'm like, thumbs up, smile like an absolute butthole. And he looks at me like, yeah, we're interstate buddies now. And I'm like, dude, I want to fight you. I really do.
I'm so adopting that now. Instead of the finger, I'm definitely doing the thumbs up now.
Right, and most people, and I don't know if the guy just didn't get that this is the passive-aggressive version of a bird, or if he genuinely was like, this guy really likes me.
Well, that's the point of being passive-aggressive. You don't know. You don't know if they're being serious or not.
So he gives me the return thumbs up and smile, and at this point, I wish I was Magneto to pick his car off the interstate and just chunk it into the woods, because I can't imagine this guy didn't look at the rear view mirror and go, oh boy, howdy, that's a lot of cars stacked up, because I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I just have this mental picture of the guy just turning around and just being like, oh, there's a lot of cars back there.
Dude,
my bad.
Just look in the rear view mirror, for God's sake, and get out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not passed anybody in, I don't know, 30 to 40 miles, get the hell over. Get over. Get in the right lane.
Looking in front of you there's not that much traffic today. Oh, wait, no, it's all behind me.
And I got told at one, because I've done this in the past, right? I've done this segment in the past. And I've been told in the past that people like, well, I drive in the left lane to stop people from speeding. Well, you're not the police.
Exactly,
you're not the
dude.
cops, jackass. Move over.
Yeah,
right?
dude, just leave the road.
Yeah, dude, you are
Take back roads, man.
You are not the cops, right? If you want to stop people from speeding on the interstate that bad, then go to cop school, become a cop, get a cool cop car, turn your lights on and do it. But you are not the cops. Get out of my way.
Yeah,
if
but
I want to go 10 over and risk getting popped, and listen, if they pop me at 10 and they're going, Mr. Brown, we hit you going 80 and a 70, it's like, all right, I took my shot. I rolled the dice. I lost. Sucks to be me. Here's my money. I'll go to class and get the points knocked off. But that's on me, not you.
Yeah, but that guy would be the guy that would give you like a ticket for like 5 over or something. Like
Then
something
go to cop school and do it.
something ridiculous.
But
and you
get
just be
out of
sitting there
my
like,
way.
are you serious, dude?
Yeah. I got a 7.5 damn hour drive. I'm not trying to get stuck in Opelika, Alabama at the Yellowhammer gas station because you think that you're the cops in your Mercedes SUV. Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
Keegan on the Facebook chat says, too many truckers listening to the Rob Brown Show. Don't give them any of the blame. Listen, here's the thing. I have noticed, and I mean this, semi-truck drivers are like the most courteous drivers on the road, right? Like they are in the right lane. If they pass other truckers who are going slower than them, it's like the minute they're cleared to get back in the right lane, they hop over. Hell, they hop over when they're not clear of the truck ahead of them, right? Like they'll pass the truck. I have watched truckers jump back in the right lane in front of other truckers with like inches to spare between the ass end of their trailer and the nose end of the truck they can pass. Truck drivers are the single most courteous drivers out there. They get out of the way. And I appreciate that. That is why our truck and delivery drivers are the Rob Brown Armada. The official show of truck and delivery drivers around the upstate is the Rob Brown Show. We love you guys. We appreciate what you do. Our lives are better because you put in the work in the seats, and we appreciate that. It is never the semi-truck guys that cause a problem.
Yeah.
It's always the jerks in the medium value SUVs who are like, no, you don't need to pass me. My time on the interstate is more important than yours. You don't need to get by me.
I got nothing but love for truck drivers. My dad's a truck driver.
Yeah, nothing but, man.
Yeah.
Respect them, appreciate them. Those guys aren't the ones that are ruining interstate driving for everybody else like jerks.
Or luxury cars.
Always.
Always.
Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open for you today. 844-FAN-PHONE. 844-FANFONE. T2 has pushed the button to open up those phone lines, so your calls are welcome. The text line, the Preferred Home Services text line is there for you as well. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. You can tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. Lonzo ain't here. He's on vacation. So tweet him funny things to aggravate him anyway, at Lonzo on Word. I forgot to ask, are you on Twitter? I don't remember.
I do have a Twitter page, but it's for something completely different.
Fair enough. My guy is he's a streamer now.
Yeah, I do.
How's that going, by the way?
Not so good. I haven't been able to do it but I've been busy all last week, so I didn't get to stream much last week.
Well, we'll get some. We'll get you guys hooked up with T2 stream later on. Steven says any hair envy today. No, T2 got the hair up today.
Yeah.
I mean, yes is the answer, but T2 rolled the hair up today.
Yeah, it's Monday, man. I just wanted to roll out of bed, throw my hair up.
Respect that.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, we worked at home for like a year and 2 months during the pandemic. And like the day the boss was like, you can come back to the studio, I'm like, bang, see you in an hour. Like I'm in because I need the separation from work in the house, right? Like I will work from home, but when I'm working from home, it's like I got a task and I knock the task out and now I can relax because I'm at the house. I needed the separation from home and office. When I'm at work, I work and I will do whatever needs to get done. When I'm at home, like I'll do my 1 or 2 tasks, but I'm at home.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
The thing was, though, there is one thing that I miss about working from home, which is rolling out of bed, hitting the couch in the boxers and hoodie. Yo, I'm going to get myself, actually, I don't know if I'm going to get myself in trouble, and I don't care. Those of you who listened to the show when I was broadcasting from the house, I can't tell you how many times you listened to me when I was in boxers on the couch because I got up out of bed, threw a blanket over the lap on the couch, and was like, I'm at work. This is it. I do miss that a little bit. That's all right. We like comfort here on the Rob Brown Show. All right. Lot of stuff to get into on the radio broadcast today. I'm going to ask the question of you later. We have now got another big-name golfer who is leaving the PGA Tour in order to play on the Saudi Arabian-backed LIV Tour, the LIV Tour. Kevin Na has done it. My question is going to be, while I understand that the overwhelming majority of y'all want politics out of sports, right? I get it. It's not always possible. There's always going to be times where those two bubbles interact with each other. But knowing the politics, knowing the history of the Saudi Arabian royals who have backed the LIV Tour, the Saudi Arabian-based tour, knowing the background of those running that tour, do you want guys like Kevin Na and Colombia's own Dustin Johnson kicked off for the PGA Tour? We'll talk about that later on in the show. The Americans on the pitch yesterday, Team USA took a scoreless 0-0 draw against Uruguay. It wasn't the worst match the Americans have ever played. However, after a 3-0 defeat of Morocco 4 days ago, whatever it was, this team backslid a little bit, right? A lot of identity, a lot of promise showed against the Moroccans, then against Uruguay. Who was, by the way, let's call a spade here, the best team in the Team USA World Cup warm-up. There was a bit of a backslide. The identity that felt established by the Americans against the Moroccans was not there yesterday. We'll break down why. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they were up against it, down 2-0 against the New York Rangers yesterday, end up scoring the game winner with 42 seconds left in the third period. They take a 3-2 win and are now headed to Game 4, down a single game and playing Game 4 at the house. If you are not watching the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, you are missing out. We'll talk about that coming up later on. Steve Spurrier made some comments that, I like the head ball coach. I've always liked the head ball coach. He has always been entertaining, but there are times when even guys I like say things that I just go, please just think about what you're saying, Steve, for a second. He had some comments about NIL and recruiting. I'm going to give you those coming up. And on top of all of that, obviously, coming up next, we got to get into Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics decimated Golden State in Game number 1. Golden State in Game number 2 looked like what I expected the Warriors to look like. And not that I want to take too big of a step, but despite the fact that this series is tied at 1, despite the fact that Beantown has stolen home court advantage away from the Warriors, this series is over. Golden State are your NBA champions, and I'll tell you why I feel that after what we saw last night when we come back. T2 filling in for the great one, Lonzo. My name is Rob Brown, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
And on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
BetMGM
one in
is
the
the
tank.
red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with hosts Quinton Mayo, Trista Crick, and Brian Horvath. Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan.
Upstate.
And on the Odyssey app.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on The Fan Upstate. For today, sunny to partly cloudy skies with high temperatures in the mid-80s. For tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 68. A chance for storms on Tuesday, 87. More scattered storms Wednesday, mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Michael Carroll on The Fan Upstate. Currently 71 degrees.
People here are raving about QC Kinetics and how regenerative medicine has changed their life. People like Helen, an avid mountain climber who got sidelined when an accident left her knees in constant pain.
I was not able to train or do really anything on my knee.
Helen was told surgery would be her only option. But then she found QC Kinetics and was treated with natural biologics designed to repair and restore tissue in her knees. 3 months later, she was climbing the highest mountain in North America.
Tayshawn, what's up, big boy? Welcome in.
Do me a favor, to my pain. I began treatment in March.
Whatever puts him in the stream. Please and thank you.
Does anything else need to be out?
No, just that. I got everything else from over here. Steven, what's up, buddy? Appreciate that note, pal. I think we got it worked out. Thank you, guys. Nope, don't need you to play my own station.
How do I have 7 followers on Twitter?
7?
Yeah.
Those are rookie numbers, pal. We got to flip those up for you.
No, I don't mess with my Twitter that much. It's weird.
You need to, man. You want to do what you do. Social's the way to thrive.
Oh, I know. I've been using Instagram mostly because I make short clips.
Yeah. You can if you've got a way to clip them, you can put them on Twitter too.
I know. I'm trying to figure out a way to where I can post all at the same time instead of posting one at a time. It takes forever. Just more efficient if I could do it all at once. There is a way. It's just I got to pay for it.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. B-A-B-B-E-L.
All right, about a minute and a half. Oh, my awake ball.
Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
There we go.
ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver ahead, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
And by the way, those of you that watch the stream, please feel free to share it around. If you've got anybody you think you would or you think would like the show and enjoy the show, please share it with them, man. We'd love to have them. Love to have them join us. Here's how the real world works for your boy. The corporate overlords in the suits and ties pay attention to how many people are listening to and watching every stream. The more people I get in here, the better the show does, the longer I get to keep doing it. So if you got anybody you think would like it, send them on. We'd love to have them. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. It is great to be back with you once again. I'm Rob Brown. T2 Tim Snow, the Timinator, sitting in with us today as Lonzo is out on vacation. He is over in some beach. Garden City, South Carolina. You ever heard of that?
I have not. No.
I'm not either. I think that's where he says he's going. Garden City, I want to say.
Oh, I thought he was going to Myrtle for some reason.
I think Garden City is like a beach just north of Dirty Myrtle.
Oh, okay.
But I also have not made it to Myrtle Beach yet, right? Like the lady friend's got her sister and brother-in-law live in Chucktown, And so we've hit Charleston a handful of times. Big fan of Charleston. I adore Charleston.
Have you ever been to Kiwa Island?
I have not, actually. It's
I
on
have.
the list.
It's awesome.
But I'm trying. I'm waiting until I can play the golf course, right? Like, they've got a PGA Championship golf course there. And I don't want to go to Kiwa until I get to play the course, the ocean course, which is way up on the list for me. But love Chucktown. Love Chucktown. Love the history. I'm a big history dork, so I love Chucktown. I have not made it to Dirty Myrtle, but here's what I know about it. I know they call it Dirty Myrtle, right? The other day I was watching YouTube and I came across a travel company that makes like 15 to 20 minute travel guides for, every tourist destination in America. And they did one on Myrtle. And they just made it look like the classiest place in America, right? Just the classiest place in America. And I'm sitting there watching with a lady friend. Yeah, I'm watching with a lady friend. And she's like, somebody deserves a lot of money. I was like, why? She's like, because they have just dressed Myrtle up like you would if you took a wet dog and put it in a tuxedo. Like, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's false advertising.
I gotta get to Myrtle. There's like, there's the 37-year-old of me that's like, bro, save your money and go to Charleston. Like, save your money and go get some culture in your life and Chucktown. And then there's the 22-year-old of me that's like, but Myrtle, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but Myrtle, though. All right.
Yeah, man.
Last night, the Boston Celtics tried to jump up 2 on the Golden State Warriors, and they failed miserably. 107-88 is your final, as Golden State is now 5-0 in these playoffs, coming off of a loss. They just do not lose 2 in a row, and that held true again last night. It came on the back of 29 from Steph Curry. 9 of 21, 5 of 12 from deep. It was not a spectacular night from Steph Curry, but it wasn't a bad one either. They got 29 out of him. They got 11 from Wiggins, 12 from Looney, 11 from Thompson, 9 from Draymond. The best top-to-bottom play of the starting 5 that the Warriors have had in a hot minute. They also got 17 off the bench from Jordan Poole. But the impressive number was the plus-minus for a few of these guys, including a plus 19 for Andrew Wiggins, a plus 24 for Looney, Curry, and Otto Porter Jr., and a plus 15 from Gary Payton II. The Warriors were efficient with the basketball. The Boston Celtics, on the other hand, were not. The worst game they had all year in terms of turnovers. They gave 18 turnovers away to Golden State. 19 turnovers away to Golden State. That was 6 more turnovers than they had in game 1. Now, at the end of the day, going from 13 to 19, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not the end of the world, right? It's basketball. It's the NBA. The problem was not the 19 turnovers. The problem was the 36 points scored by Golden State off of turnovers. 36 points came off of turnovers. Again, 36. Now, I don't know about you, T2. I'm really, really bad at math. The Golden State
awful at
Warriors,
math.
I suck at it. The Golden State Warriors scored 107 points. The Boston Celtics scored 88 points. What's the difference in those two numbers?
Hold on.
19 points.
19, yeah, 19.
19 points.
Sorry, I had to think about it for a second.
No, listen. That was not done on the fly. Rob required to take his shoes off to be able to have enough fingers and toes to count it. I get it. 19 points is your difference. 36 points scored on turnovers by the Golden State Warriors. Take half of those away. It's a 1-point basketball game, right?
Yeah.
Take half of those away. It's a 1-point basketball game. That is the difference. Boston panicked last night. That was it. They got to the third quarter, in the third quarter, we had ourselves an absolute basketball game. It was 52-50, a 2-point game in favor of Golden State. Now, the Warriors were locked in last night. Don't let it sound like this was all Boston giving the game away. Golden State took it away from Beantown. Steph Curry had some clutch threes. And if you watch this game, you will notice very little swag out of Steph Curry last night. There were maybe one shimmy. Like, he's big on dropping the shimmy after he knocks down threes. He did it one time last night. One time. It was in the third quarter at a point where the Warriors were up like 24 at the time, right? I mean, they were cooking with absolute grease. The only other time I really saw Steph look like he was having fun, and that's the reason I love Steph Curry, right? Because Steph Curry is a dude who has fun playing basketball, and I will take a guy who is having fun. Look, you're professional athletes. You should be taking it seriously. You are getting an ass load of money to play the game. You are getting a metric boatload of money to play the game. Of course, take it seriously. It is your job, but have fun, right? I like a guy having fun. Look, and for those of you that go, how could you say that? Look, I do the same thing. I take this job seriously. I bust my hump. I put in a lot of hours to make sure that I'm giving you guys the best show I can. But when we are on the air,
we have fun.
You're damn right we do.
We have fun, yeah.
Of course we do. Of course we do. I like Steph for that exact reason. But last night, Steph had his suit and tie on. Steph was not there to play last night. Steph was there to take these guys, to take the Golden State Warriors and to elevate them, and that's exactly what happened. Steph Curry was not hitting the shimmy. He had two big noticeable smiles. He had a follow-away three to put the Warriors up like 24 in the third, and then Jordan Poole, in the moment that if you had any doubt this game was over, as the buzzer ran out in the third quarter, Jordan Poole pulled up from just a step inside half freaking court and played nothing but string music on the way by. And when that shot went through and the buzzer dropped and everybody in the building, everybody watching TV, everybody in America knew that game was over. The final 12 minutes were nothing but a formality at that point. You saw Steph shine back. You saw that smile pop back out. You saw the Warriors get comfortable. But it wasn't just Steph. It was Draymond, too. Draymond came out ready to kick somebody's rear end last night. Draymond was physical. Draymond was throwing guys around. Draymond took a tech. Draymond went to the floor with Jason Tatum, got into a little bit. I was waiting for the second tech on Draymond and for him to get bounced last night because of how aggressive he was playing. But here's the reality. They needed it. They had to have it. Not just for the Warriors to have something to latch onto and play a little bit more violent basketball than they did in game one, which let the C's run away from them. They needed Draymond to go out there and get into the head of Boston and mess with their psyche, mess with their game a little bit. Draymond did that. In fact, you could see it in the third quarter when Boston's offense changed entirely. In the first half, Boston was getting the ball up the floor. They were not getting trapped in half courts. They were not playing a half court game. They brought the ball up. They crossed the half court line. They moved the ball around. They took high percentage shots. In the second half, not so much. The Celtics found themselves in foul trouble. They had 18 fouls. 13 of them came in the first half. Boston and Golden State both reverted to the third quarter teams that they have been all playoffs long, right? The Celtics found themselves struggling in the half court. They found themselves dribbling out the majority of the shot clock and then settling for low percentage looks late in the shot clock, whereas the Golden State Warriors moved the ball quite a bit. The Golden State Warriors used every inch of the floor. They were moving off the ball. They were setting screens. They were moving around the floor. They were creating situations where they were getting mismatches. And then, maybe most importantly of all, they were making their shots. Outscored Boston 35-14 in the fourth quarter, or in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, it did not matter. It did not matter at that point. Golden State made Boston play Golden State basketball, and Boston did not know what to do. When they were all up in their heads, when they changed the psyche, the mentality, it changed the game for Boston, and Boston didn't know how to handle it, which is why if you look at the 28 points of Jason Tatum, that's not a bad night. Steph had 29. We're celebrating him. Why aren't we celebrating the 28 of Jason Tatum? Because Jason Tatum was minus 36 in the plus-minus category. Again, for those of you that don't know what the plus-minus category is and why I harp on it, the plus-minus category, all it is the difference in net points from your team versus the opponents while you're on the floor, right? So if you go out on the floor and the score is 12-10, and you leave the floor and the score is 22-20, that's a plus-minus of 0. If you come out and the score is 50-40, you're leading by 10, and when you leave, the score is 50-50, you have a negative 10, a minus 10 in the plus-minus. They gained 10 points on you while you were on the floor. And every player has their own individual plus-minus. Jason Tatum's was the worst of his entire career. He was minus 36. So while he was 8 of 19 from the floor, 6 of 9 from deep, 6 of 8 from the stripe, did bring in 6 boards and 3 assists, the Warriors outscored the C's by 36 points while Jason Tatum was on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, this series is over, okay? This series is over. I'm not saying your superstars can't have a bad night. Of course, your superstars can have a bad night. I'm saying that when your ace, your number one, your guy is minus 36 in the stat category, I'm saying they figured you out. They know you now. They know you. You surprised them in game one. You played a different game, an improved game in game one than what they saw on tape from the earlier 2 rounds of the playoffs. But now they've got you. They know you. They understand your game. Draymond knows how to get in your head and throw you off your game. He did it last night. He took the tech in the first quarter, and then he kept coming after them. He kept coming after Tatum. He kept coming after Brown. And here you go. You ready? 28 for Tatum, 17 for Brown. Your other 3 starters for the C's last night, Al Horford, 2 points. Williams III, 2 points. Marcus Smart, 2 points. You had 1 double-digit scorer on the bench last night. You had Derek White, who had 12. Outside of that, everybody else in single figures. The Warriors figured Boston out last night. Draymond knows what he needs to do now because he did it last night and it worked like an absolute dream. And I'm not a Draymond guy, right? Draymond's one of those guys that you hate him when you have to play him, but you love him when he's on your team because he does what he did last night. He interrupted the flow. He interrupted the offense. He was just physical enough to get into Boston's heads when the ball was dead, and they did not know how to respond when it came back alive. Phenomenal basketball from the Warriors. This series is over. It might get to 6. The series is not going to 7. Book it. Golden State is going to win both of them at Boston, go up 3-1 with a chance to close it out at home. Watch it. Back after this, my name is Rob Brown, the Timinator T2 on the board today. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, Stream, hit the restroom. I'll be right back. All right, kids, we back.
Oh, wait, no. Not yet. Still got another minute.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new LG laundry set with Turbo Wash 3D that provides a powerful yet gentle clean in just 29 minutes, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Shop final days ending June 8th to get an LG top or front load washer dryer set for just $7.78 each. Valid May 19th through June 8th. U.S. only. Gas dryer extra while supplies last. See store for details.
Tracy, line 1 is looking for a quote on a mini split. Crazy spring temperatures are heating up Dwight HVAC phone lines. If they don't find more technicians, they'll be in hot water.
How are we doing? 3 technicians in the past 3 weeks.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com.
Are we doing, oh, wait. Oh, no, we got 30 seconds. Are we doing the Twitter thing?
At the end of the show, yeah.
All right. Is the bed in here for that? Yeah.
Yep.
It is. All right, perfect.
Oh my goodness.
How do you do that usually? You just call for it and not play it?
So at 50 on the clock, at 11:50 exactly, roll it no matter where I am. Roll it over me if I'm talking. That's the kind of the gimmick of it.
All right, I got my Twitter up and what's happening.
Yeah,
right
just
here.
pick whatever you want to pick.
Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery
Oh
charging,
God.
replacement parts that meet your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, I messed up, didn't I? Rejoin.
More than the scores. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The Rob Brown Show. Now 9 to noon.
The Fan.
Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. The Timinator T2 filling in for Lonzo this week. He shall return a week from today. Glad he gets a little time off. Glad you guys are with us here on the Fan Upstate today. I'm not going to spend the whole show on last night's NBA game, but like I said, I think this series is over. I think Golden State has figured out Boston. And, look, it's the NBA. There's going to be a night where Boston's big two, specifically Jalen and Jason, are going to go off. But in game one, Boston was able to fall back on Al Horford. He was the X factor, right? He was the difference. The 5-time All-Star stepped up. The 5-time All-Star played out of his mind and was able to change the game for Boston. But there's a reason we talked about that, right? And the reason we talked about it was because it was way out of the norm. Al Horford's going to have another big game in these finals. He's going to have another 20-point game. But Draymond specifically, if you took out a flyer on Draymond Green to be finals MVP, I doubt he is going to win it because he doesn't have the flashiest of numbers, right? Draymond had 9 points last night. He was 2 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 1 from the arc, 5 of 7 from the stripe, just 5 boards. He had 7 assists. This is a big night there. 7 assists, 5 boards, 9 points, 1 block. He was +7 in the plus minus. It is not like an all-star performance, statistically speaking, right? But this was one of those games. I know a lot of radio hosts who don't watch the games, right? Or they just kind of casually have the games on. They just kind of casually watch the games. This was one of those games that if you did not watch the game, you don't have the full story on how impactful Draymond Green was last night. Draymond interrupted the flow of that game. Draymond changed the flow of that game. It was not a blowout at half. It was a 2-point game at halftime, right? It was a 2-point game at halftime. But Draymond made sure that by the time these boys went into the locker room, by the time the Celtics went into the locker room to gather, to regroup, to figure out their second half game plan, the second half game plan was, how do we keep it away from Draymond? How do we keep our guys from getting the hell beat out of them by Draymond Green? Because Draymond, as much of a pest as he can be on the floor, and we know he is, right? We know he is. As much of a pest as Draymond Green is, it worked. It worked. Again, he didn't throw a lot of points onto the stat sheet. He put up 9. He didn't have a massive amount of rebounds dominating the paint. He had 5 total. But what Draymond did do was aggressively attack the guys with the basketball. Aggressively attack them. And did so smart, by the way. Just 3 fouls, right? Just 3 fouls. 17 total fouls against Golden State. Draymond had 3 of them. Draymond changed the way that game was going. Draymond changed the way that game was flowing. Boston, in game number 1, got into a flow, got into a rhythm. Once a team gets into the rhythm at the NBA level, it is hard to get them out of it, right? You can be physical. You can try to physically interrupt that rhythm. But at the NBA level, teams in a rhythm figure out how to work around that to keep that rhythm. Draymond never let him get comfortable last night. So when the third quarter rolled around and the Warriors finally got into a flow, Boston couldn't match. Because every time that one of the stars got the ball, Draymond was putting elbows into ribs, was putting hands on noses. Draymond was shoving and pushing and just beating up whoever it was that ended up in his territory. Again, you got to have a very specific mentality to be able to play basketball the way that Draymond Green plays basketball, right? Every one of us has played basketball with that guy who plays like Draymond. And if he's on your team, you love him to death. And if you got to play against him, you want to fist fight him after the game because he's annoying as hell. Why? Because it works. Because it works. Because to get into a rhythm around that guy is really tough. Really tough. In game number 1, Draymond did not play that way. In fact, Draymond said at one point after that game last night that he knew that he had to increase the level of physicality that he played with. And he did last night. He was on the floor pushing and shoving. He was on the floor getting after guys. He was on the floor going after dudes. But Draymond knows it works. Jason and Jalen were never able to get comfortable. And because they couldn't get comfortable, the guys around them could not fit into their flow, right? Boston is set up, much like the Warriors are set up to play around Clay and Steph. Boston is set up to play around Jason and Jalen. And when Draymond prevented Jason and Jalen from getting into a flow, from getting comfortable because they knew they were going to get the hell beat out of them every time they got the rock, the other 3 guys on the floor at any given point could not fit into the offense. Because the offense then would have been, all right, Jason and Jalen are out. We have to carry it now, and nobody else can. Al Horford's a good player, but he can't carry that offense. Williams III's a good player. You can run the offense through him underneath, right? But Looney had him locked down last night. Marcus Smart is an okay offensive player. He can get to the rack every now and then. But Marcus Smart's not carrying this offense, and the C's most certainly don't have anybody off the bench that can. Draymond's going to do that again in game 3, and he's going to do it in Boston. And by the way, Draymond eats the negativity of hometown fans who hate him. It makes him play meaner basketball. He's going to get worse. And unless he goes too far and gets tossed from a game, he's going to do this every game. The Warriors have figured it out. The series is over. Coming up now, we're number 2. The Braves' bats have finally warmed up. Is this the trigger for a turnaround? We'll break that down next on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search Upstate.
Yeah, you're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 Upstate Golf Card is here for you now. 10 rounds of golf. You're getting it for $100? Nope, $75. Now through Father's Day, the Upstate Golf Card is just $75. You get one for you, get one for Pops, get one for Step Pops, get one for Pops-in-law, or Just get like 4 and take the boys out for a round of golf. Tell me right now you're not going to have better friends if you can call people and go, hey, man, round of golf tomorrow, it's on me. Because you got 4 cards for just $75 a pop. Each one comes with 10 rounds of golf. You can take like 30 different people golf. I don't even know 30 people. And you can play 30 rounds of golf. $75 is going to get you the Upstate golf card. You got 10 rounds at 10 of the most prestigious courses in the Upstate. Get yours now. Go to upstategolfcard.com. Upstategolfcard.com. Pick up yours today. It's the 2022 Upstate Golf Card.
Okay, I did not time that right. We had that live in there.
Be right back, stream. Hang on for me.
All right.
All right, stream, we're back.
7-6.
And better than ever.
2, 1.
So for those of you that have listened to the show for any length of time, I have a definition of the word tradition, right? That I lean on quite a bit. Because I think people very frequently make really stupid decisions based on tradition that outside of tradition don't make any sense. And it's not always bad. Like, some of those decisions are harmless, right? Like, sometimes you do things in the name of tradition that you wouldn't do for any other reason, and ultimately they're harmless. I drank a specific kind of beer because that's what my dad drank. And so I grew up around it, and it just kind of became my tradition. Tradition is not bad. However, sometimes tradition, I have to define it as peer pressure from dead people, right? People don't want to break tradition because, well, that's the way my grandpappy did it. And it's like, yeah, but your grandpappy also rode a horse to work. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, that doesn't make anything.
Yeah, horse and buggy.
Yeah, tradition doesn't make sense all the time. During the break, I guess this weekend, and I don't know, it's not on my calendar, it's not on the radar, but I guess this weekend was that thing they do in England every year where the people stand on top of a ridiculously steep, ridiculously bumpy hill, and somebody rolls a wheel of cheese down it, and then like 100 people go careening, flipping, spinning, rolling, bouncing down this steep-ass hill to be the person who catches the cheese. And every year, people walk out of it with broken arms and broken legs and broken ribs and broken ankles for the prize of a wheel of cheese. And look, I don't know because I refuse to research it. I don't know if there's like a monetary prize, right? Like attached to the wheel of cheese. You get to keep the wheel of cheese and $100,000 or whatever. I can also tell you that I know how much a trip to the hospital cost, right? And I know that if you put 6 figures attached to the guy who gets the cheese, even if I win, which I might, because I'm fat, I will roll better than anybody else down a hill. I know that I will end up with a $100,000 check and a $99,000 hospital stay to fix the broken all the bones when it's all said and done. Ladies and gentlemen, tradition is peer pressure from dead people. It's okay to break tradition, all right? When the tradition is dumb, it's okay to break tradition. They just showed the clip of these people jumping down and rolling down and tumbling down this hill to catch a wheel of cheese because it is tradition. Stop.
Where is this tradition? Like, what is this tradition? Because now I'm kind of interested to see this.
It's they just showed it on TV.
Yeah, and I glanced at it. But I didn't get to see it, so I just kind of want to see it.
It is the Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling and Wake is the name of the event. I'm assuming wake because people are gonna die doing this. You can go to YouTube and just search Cooper's Hill Cheese Roll. It's an event held on the Spring Bank Holiday. I don't know what that is either. Let's see. A bank holiday is a national public holiday in the UK, Republic of Ireland, and Crown dependencies. The term refers to all public holidays in the UK, be they set out in statute, declared by royal proclamation, or held by convention under common law. So I guess it's like their spring break. It looks like, let's see, bank holidays. First Monday in May, the 9th of May, the last Monday in May, the first Monday. Dude, can we do the show on an English schedule, please? They got all the damn holidays. Let's see. January 1st and 2nd, 17th of March, the Friday before Easter Sunday, the Monday after Easter Sunday, the first Monday in May, the 9th of May, the last Monday in May, the first Monday in June, the last Friday in June, the 5th of July, the 12th of July, the first Monday in August, the last Monday in August, the last Monday in October, the 30th of November, and then obviously Christmas Day and Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. They get off all those days. And so I'm assuming that the first Monday in June, is this the first Monday? Yeah, this is the first Monday in June. So they did it earlier today. Participants raced down a 200-yard-long hill after a round of double Gloucester, Gloucester, Gloucester?
Sounds about right.
Sure, why not? A wheel of cheese. The event was traditionally held by and for the people who live in the local village of Brockworth, but now people from all over the world take part. The Guardian called it a, quote, world-famous event, end quote, with winners coming from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Nepal. The cheese rolling event took place Sunday, the 5th of June, as the spring break holiday was moved this year to June 2nd, followed by an additional bank holiday to create a blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It was canceled in 2020 and 21 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. From the top of the hill, a 7 to 9 pound round wheel of double Gloucester, I guess, cheese is sent rolling down the hill, which is 200 yards in length. Competitors then start racing down the hill after the cheese. The first person over the finish line at the bottom of the hill wins the cheese. The competitors are aiming to catch the cheese. However, it has around a 1 second head start and can reach speeds of up to 70 miles an hour, enough to knock over and injure a spectator. Multiple races are held during the day with separate events for men and women. In 2013, a foam replica replaced the cheese. So you're not even chasing cheese anymore, you half-asses. The winners were given the prizes of actual cheese after the competition. There is a pub in the nearby village of Shirtington, about 3 miles from Cooper's Hill, called the Cheese Rollers Pub. Let's see here.
Maybe it's just some kind of medieval sport or something.
So let's see. According to Wikipedia, the first written evidence of cheese rolling is found from a message written to the Gloucester town crier in 1826. Even then, it was apparent the event was an old tradition and is believed to be at least 600 years old.
See?
2 possible origins have been proposed for the ceremony. First, it may have evolved from a requirement for maintaining grazing rights on the common. Second, there may be a pagan origin for the custom of rolling objects down the hill. It is thought that bundles of burning brushwood were rolled down the hill to represent the birth of the new year after winter. Connected with this belief is the traditional scattering of buns, biscuits, and sweets at the top of the hill by the master of ceremonies. This is said to be a fertility rite to encourage the fruits of harvest. I don't care about the rest of this. I don't care. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm done with it.
That's insane though. That tradition is so well documented.
In 2009, it was canceled due to concerns over health and safety. But in 2010, a group of local residents threw a smaller version in keeping with tradition to keep grazing rights. In 2011, Candace Phillips and Sarah Stevens brought and dressed 4 cheeses, so the revival of the famous old tradition continued. Former winner Helen Thorpe said, quote, "No one's going to stop us doing it. They say it's not official, but we are all Brockworth people, and we're running cheese today. So it is official. We strongly believe in it." Helen, stop believing in it. It's a terrible idea. Oh, well, they've done it for 800 years. Well, for 800 years, people have been idiots. Helen,
Yeah.
What are y'all doing? Unbelievable. I don't
understand why rolling cheese down the hill still, even with all that documentation, I just don't understand the tradition behind it. But I mean, hey, to each his own, right?
Look, I'm a bit of a thrill seeker, right?
Jumping out of planes, thrill seeking.
I have done skydiving.
I have not yet. I want to.
It's a blast.
I want to so bad.
It's a blast. I have done skydiving. I have parasailing. It's not like the craziest thing. I have bungee jumped. I have flown a helicopter.
See,
over
I have
the Grand
I have
Canyon.
a terrible fear of heights, and I want to,
But
you
yes,
know,
you
conquer
want to
that.
skydive. Makes sense.
Well, I want to conquer it, man.
I get it. I have done the skydiving. I have flown a helicopter over not like me flown it, but like flown in a helicopter over the edge of the Grand Canyon. I have done all of these things, right? I am a thrill seeker. I like a little adrenaline here and there. I'm all in. But do you understand that there is a massive difference between let me skydive and tempt fate and gravity in a relatively safe environment, right? Like people die skydiving, sure, but 99.9% of people who jump out of an airplane with a parachute attached are fine, right? 99% are fine. It's 1% chance you're going to die. But if you're in the 99% of people who don't, it's the most amazing. Like there is nothing more liberating than just falling through the sky. Like that sense of falling on a roller coaster, you don't get that, right? You get that for like 30/10 of a second when you first get out of the plane, but then it goes away, and then it's the most freeing, liberating thing in the world to look at the ground, 20,000 feet below you, and pull that parachute and just be flying effectively. It's amazing. There is something that is life and perspective altering when you're ripping in a helicopter and you cross over the lip of the Grand Canyon and you go from being 20 feet over the skyline or 20 feet over the tree line to having the world just fall away from you. It induces adrenaline, and I get it. There is a difference between that and I think I'll break my arm on purpose, right? Like, you understand that's not the same thing.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is for them. Like, it's this giant block of cheese coming at you at you're playing chicken with a big block of cheese.
Like if you're
when you're skydiving, you're playing chicken with the ground.
I guess. Like these people run down the hill though, right? Like it would also be dumb if it was like everybody lines up at the bottom and you just try to dodge the cheese. Like that's one thing.
Right.
These people go hurtling themselves off a cliff just to catch, and you get to roll the cheese. I got news for you. You can go to this amazing place. It's this incredible place in pretty much every city in the civilized world called a grocery store.
Yeah, called a grocery store.
This may shock you, people in Gloucester, England. This may shock you, but if you go there, you can just buy cheese. And they have all kinds of, you don't even have to be stuck with crappy cheese. They got all kinds of cheese, and you can have as much of it as you want.
You can get it sliced, shredded, any way you want to, man.
And when you go to the place where you give the lady money for the cheese, she doesn't go, "Thank you, sir. The cost is a broken leg." It's like that would be $6 or pounds or whatever. And you got some cheese. The Wikipedia page continues. And now I'm just fascinated. Due to the steepness and uneven surface of Cooper's Hill, there are usually a large number of injuries each year. A first aid service is provided by the local St. John ambulance at the bottom of the hill. Members of the local rugby club and young farmers volunteer their services by acting as catchers for any participants who lose their balance and are also on hand to carry down, I'm reading this word for word, to carry down any casualties requiring first aid who do not reach the bottom. A large number of ambulance vehicles attend the event since there is, quote, invariably at least one and often several major injuries requiring hospital treatment, end quote.
So when you say casualties, you mean people die doing this?
I don't know that anybody's died, but there's lots of busted up people. All right, let's see.
Oh, my God.
Cooper's cheese rolling has been summarized by a previous participant as, quote, 20 young men chasing a cheese off a cliff and tumbling 200 yards to the bottom where they are scraped up by paramedics and packed off to hospital. The Sydney Morning Herald newspaper wrote, quote, where did it go? Hang on. They asked one competitor if your travel insurance covers this. The Australian author of the article, Sam Vincent, quote, questioned his sanity, end quote, as he was, quote, crouched on the summit of a diabolical slope, end quote.
Maybe, you know, I was just thinking about, like, why do people go into, like, mosh pits? Because, like, you know, I love bands and moshing and all that kind of stuff. Well, at least I used to. I can't do it anymore. But I mean, maybe it's the same kind of mentality. Like, you know, you just kind of, you know, do it just to, you know, have fun.
Listen, I've been in a mosh pit before. Like, once. I had my fill, right?
Yeah.
I had my fill. I did it once because I was with a buddy, and he's like, you got to do it. It's liberating. And I got into the mosh pit.
Yeah, when you're young enough to do it, though.
Yeah. And I got thrashed, and I was like, all right, that's enough for me.
I feel like, you know, because I just, you know, crossed over the line of 30. And, yeah, I'm just too old for it now.
So first off, shut up. And second off, yeah, I get it, right? Because
man.
I hit the mosh pit. I got thrashed, and I'm like, no, this is dumb. Once again, hurting yourself in the name of tradition, it's a dumb tradition, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a dumb tradition. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. A tradition for the sake of tradition is dumb, right? Texter says, FYI, Rob, while you laugh at people overseas, also laugh about a 200-pound grown man holding a pigskin while 400-pound men try to kill him, end quote. Look, I recognize fully and entirely that if you really genuinely entirely understand it, at its core, the concept of sports is kind of dumb, right? It is. It's kind of dumb. I acknowledge that. I recognize that. I have said for years, in theory, playing football is a terrible idea. It is. And there is even a part of me, I will tell you guys, at the risk of blowing up my text line, I will tell you that I am in the camp of kids should not play football until they're in high school at the earliest, right? Like contact football, like helmets and shoulder pads, contact football. Kids should not play contact football until high school at the earliest, like 10th grade at the earliest, because we have numbers that show that if you were involved in heavy contact sports as a kid, it can stunt your developmental growth based on brain injuries and body injuries, et cetera.
There's actual studies of that?
It is scientifically proven at this point. I am in the camp that kids should not play contact football until they are in high school at the earliest. At the earliest, right? I'll tell you right now, 7 figures on a paycheck. Now, if these people running down the hill, if the winner didn't get a wheel of cheese but got a check for $1 million, I'd understand it, right? I'd understand. That's $1 million. It's a life-changing amount of money. A life-changing amount of money. You get a wheel of cheese. Guys, I could have a wheel of cheese by the end of this day. If I really wanted to, I could call somebody and have a wheel of cheese at this studio before the damn show's off the radio.
Yeah, we could.
And that's all you get? You get a broken leg, a broken rib, and a wheel of cheese.
You could DoorDash a wheel of cheese if you wanted.
Stupid, but I could. Texas said a wise man once said a 6-pack and something else keeps the doctor away. Not sure how accurate that is, but it's something like that. No, that's not it, Texter. Texter said, what about the running of the bulls? Yeah, also dumb. I'm going to get trampled by a 2-ton pack of muscle. Why? It's thrill-seeking. All right. Texter said that wheel of cheese is probably $500. I wouldn't do it for just $500. I'll just get a job. I'll get an extra job.
Yeah.
I'll get 3 jobs.
Well, plus, what are you going to do with that much cheese? I mean, wouldn't it go bad after a while?
I'll bet you, I will bet you anything that cheese tastes like crap too.
It probably does after it's been rolling down a dirty hill.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the Atlanta Braves, the Bats, woke up a little bit as they get a sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Is this a turning point? We're going to address that. And John Gruden's lawyers mean bad news for the NFL. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
These exits have music on them.
Yeah, they do. Some of them do. Not all of them. All right, let's see what's in the chat. Does your cheese rolling theory match up with your NFL regulation opinion? My NFL regulation opinion? What do you mean by that, Luke? I'm happy to answer the question. I don't understand what you mean. Hopefully you're okay with the new regulations, even though it doesn't make the NFL as exciting, but there are more awesome catches and runs with the new rules, but less crazy hits. No, yeah, look. Guys planting their skull like a battering ram into another dude's skull is a bad idea.
Well,
Face-up tackles, 100%.
What do you think about like skateboarding and like extreme sports then?
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I get it, right? Like,
so you would skydive, but you wouldn't ride a skateboard?
Not like crazy. Like,
okay.
No, here, I'll give you an example. Like last Saturday, we went up to the girlfriend's mom or stepmom and dad's house, and her 27-year-old, very in shape surfer, good-looking brother-in-law, and her brother are bombing hills on a longboard in their neighborhood. They're ripping like 35 miles an hour down these hills. And they're like, Rob, you're up. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. They're like, well, you're soft. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Call me whatever you want.
Dude, I wouldn't
like,
recommend doing that. If you don't ride a skateboard regularly, I would not recommend bombing a hill.
No. And like they're just like, no. What's
Yeah.
the payoff here?
That was messed
you get
up,
some
man.
pride. I'm proud of myself for being smart enough not to bomb hills on a longboard.
Yeah,
bro.
dude. Like, I would not recommend doing that if you never rode one before.
Yeah.
I'm teaching my kids right now, and they know not to bomb hills that they can't bomb.
Like, if you practice and train to learn how to do it without injuries, and you just gradually increase to where you're bombing 2-mile hills, like, have at, bro. I mean, like, you recognize there's a risk, but the adrenaline's there. There is a difference between guy who's been riding a board for 20 years, who's bombing those big, tall streets in San Francisco, versus my old ass just trying.
That's like me. That's like you giving me a golf club and being like, "Here, knock it 500 yards." This is not gonna happen. Like, you know.
That's the thing. Like, you can't train to throw yourself off a cliff that's 200 yards long. You can't do it. Like, there's no practicing that, right? Like, I guess you could practice running down steep hills.
You did base jumping, right?
What's that?
Did you say you did base jumping?
No, I've just skydived out of a plane.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never base jumped.
Or
Even
bungee
that
jumping
one,
or something.
Base jumping, because you got a lot less time to correct an error in a base jump. Like,
Have
if
you
jump
ever
out of a
watched
plane
them
and something
guys
goes
do
wrong,
that? Oh my god,
yeah,
it looks so fun though.
Like, you jump out of a plane and something goes wrong, you've got 45 seconds to correct it. Like, you got time to, like, okay, what are my options, whatever. If you base dive and something goes wrong, you are a spot on the ground.
Yeah, dude, you are just you're roadkill at that point.
Luke says, Rob, are you still covering the Liberty matches? I am, Luke. I missed last Friday because I had a pre-scheduled vacation. I was supposed to be on the call, but I will be on the call of those teams moving forward. I will actually, on this call moving forward, I'll be doing play-by-play and actually have a color commenter with me as well. But yes, I will be on the call for Liberty games for the remainder of the season, yes. And very excited about it. Very excited about it.
Where did I see that? Okay.
We grab something out of the office. I'll be right back.
Oh, all right. Oh, you got like a minute, 2 minutes. All right, you still got 1 minute.
10-4.
Okay.
You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Oh man, the stupid black carts. I'm sorry. We have another 30 seconds.
It's all good.
Those black carts, I never see them because I always assume that they're set modes for some reason. All right. This is hour 2, so I need to get that sports flash, don't I? Yeah. C-O-A? Is it? What you? GXP5.
Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate a favorite.
Why did it do that?
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Played a couple of gigs with the band this weekend, hung out with the fam a little bit. So if the voice is a little scratchy right now, ignore it. Ignore it because it is what it is. All right, a couple of things I want to get into on the radio broadcast today. I talked a little bit about this very briefly last week, but I did not get as much into it as I wanted to, so I will now. The lawsuit by John Gruden against Roger Goodell and the National Football League has been something that's been on the radar for a while, right? It's been something we've talked about for a while. And I went into this lawsuit thinking there's no way that John Gruden is going to win this lawsuit. Right? There's no way. He's not going to win the lawsuit. I don't think he's going to have enough to prove that the NFL conspired against him. I had one hope for this lawsuit. And my one hope for this lawsuit was that John Gruden's lawsuit was going to force the National Football League somehow. And I am not an attorney, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I was very much hoping that Chucky's lawsuit would somehow force the National Football League to put out those some 360,000 plus emails that were all a part of that investigation into Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. I was really hoping those emails would be forced out by this lawsuit. Does not appear that we have any information on whether or not that is going to happen. However, the lawsuit has gotten progressively more interesting. Why? Because Las Vegas attorney Sam Merjovsky of the Sam & Ash law firm wrote an opinion on this case and shared it with a Las Vegas Raiders beat reporter. And he said that, quote, Gruden's lawsuit against the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell is the real deal. Why did he say that? It is because of who Roger Goodell picked to be a part of his legal team and the timing of it. And here's why. Gruden, you'll remember, settled his lawsuit with the Las Vegas Raiders almost immediately after stepping down. That is not entirely, it was a little bit surprising, but not like crazy, right? Not like, wow, I can't believe that happened. Because the Raiders didn't want to get caught up in all that, right? So the Raiders were willing to pay John Gruden X amount of dollars off of his contract to make that stay. That's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that Roger Goodell, immediately after settling with the Raiders, Roger Goodell then picked his attorneys to go after the NFL. Who did he pick? The exact same attorneys that represented the Raiders in John Gruden's lawsuit against them. Now, Why is that interesting, and how does it happen? John Gruden picked the attorneys that represented the Raiders in John Gruden's lawsuit against the Raiders. The timing of the settlement of that suit and the hiring of those attorneys by John Gruden seems to suggest that Mark Davis is okay with this. That Mark Davis is on board with John Gruden using his attorneys in his lawsuit against the league. Now, I'm not saying that is a fact. I'm not saying that is for sure. I am saying that if these attorneys, and I don't know if they are, but if these attorneys are on retainer by the Las Vegas Raiders, who, you'll remember if you're keeping track, are a National Football League team. If they are getting paid by the LV Raiders and owner Mark Davis to represent that team when that team finds themselves in need of legal representation, and they went ahead and signed off to represent Chucky, they could have signed off without the blessing of the Raiders, without the blessing of Mark Davis. But if they did that, they would run the risk of losing the Raiders as a client. And I don't know this to be a fact, but I would be willing to speculate that the Raiders are probably their biggest client. That might not be true, right? They might have like a Hollywood actor worth $1 billion in the bank. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. But more than likely, the biggest client for this group of attorneys would be the Las Vegas Raiders, which means that if John Gruden said, I would like to hire you to represent me when I sue the National Football League, it is unreasonable to think that they would not call Mark Davis and go, hey, John Gruden wants to hire us to sue the league. You know, your league. Are you good with that? And Mark Davis would have to say, yeah, man. Yeah, I'll keep you guys on retainer. I'll keep you guys on staff. But go ahead, represent Chucky. Which means that Mark Davis is upset with the National Football League. That Mark Davis is mad about how this whole thing handled, even though he was the one that had to pull the axe on John Gruden when the emails from Chucky came out to the public. So Gruden has Mark Davis's attorneys. It would seem fair to assume that he has Mark Davis's attorneys via the blessing of Mark Davis, which means that they are now fighting not just John Gruden, but they will be fighting a proxy war with the Raiders as well. Now, the Raiders are not part of this lawsuit, right? The Raiders are not part of this lawsuit. The Raiders are not a named party to this lawsuit. But if the Raiders did indeed sign off, if Mark Davis did indeed sign off on John Gruden using the Raiders' attorneys to sue the National Football League, it would be fair, I think, to read into that Mark Davis has some vested interest in this lawsuit. He has some vested interest in this lawsuit. He's got some reason to want to be involved in this lawsuit. And now the National Football League is not just fighting a very rich and angry John Gruden, who was doing a good job coaching the Raiders before those emails dropped. But now they're fighting the Raiders too. And not just the Raiders as a franchise, but the Raiders as one of their own franchises. Now remember, about 2 weeks ago, the National Football League filed an appeal to the courts asking for John Gruden's lawsuit to be dismissed. The court said no, this lawsuit will go forward. Now, this was in Nevada. Nevada is very friendly to lawsuits like the one that John Gruden has filed. So it makes sense. But this means that Gruden's lawyers can demand emails, memos, phone logs, text messages, and even metadata to support their claim. And Gruden's team can now demand that Roger Goodell sit for a deposition and give testimony under oath. And on top of all of that, the Raiders are in Chucky's corner. The Raiders have John Gruden's back. The Raiders, if there is going to be a party that involves themselves in this lawsuit, that would know the right questions to ask, right? To tell these attorneys, you're going to want to ask about emails to and from this guy. John Gruden would have gotten emails from that guy. You're going to want to ask Roger Goodell about this date to this date and all the correspondence that was sent during that time. The Raiders are going to be as inside baseballing the NFL as any party could be. And if the Raiders gave the thumbs up to John Gruden using their lawyers, that means they're in John Gruden's corner. They have the information and they have picked a side. This is bad for the National Football League. This is bad for Roger Goodell, because if they can prove that Roger Goodell willingly released some emails that made John Gruden, who he is known to dislike, look bad and lose his job while covering up others, that might be the biggest blow to the public image of the Shield that we have seen maybe ever. We'll keep an eye on that. Texter says, I think you're right about that, because the Raiders attorneys would have to get a conflict waiver from the Raiders in order to represent John Gruden. Yeah. This says to me the Raiders are on board with Gruden's email. And if anybody's going to know what happened with all this, it's going to be an NFL team. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Sorry,
Skrillo, welcome in, big dog. Good to have you on the chat, my guy, as always. Luke says, how is that not a conflict of interest for the same firm to represent Gruden? Because it is a separate case. Yes, it is a separate case. Gruden's first case that was settled was just against the Raiders. They settled that case. That case is over, so there's no conflict there unless the Raiders did not want this attorney, this firm, to represent John Gruden. And that's why I said, unless the firm was just willing to lose the Raiders as a client, which I can't imagine they would be, right? That would be the most high-profile client they have, more than likely. Unless they were willing to lose the Raiders as a client, the Raiders would have had to say, yeah, we don't have a problem with you representing John Gruden in this lawsuit, which means that the Raiders are in John Gruden's corner in this lawsuit, and that is an inside source the NFL now has to combat. Not a great look. Not a great look for the Ginger Hammer. At least that's how I read into it. And I will acknowledge that I am making some assumptions there. I will acknowledge that I am making some assumptions. I will acknowledge that I am, by default, believing some things I don't have evidence for, which is usually contrary to the way I try to do things. But sometimes you have to make assumptions, and I think this is one of those times. Be right back in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Literally 30 seconds. Nailed it. Nailed it. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me every day, by the way.
Join in bed. Perfect. All right.
Have you heard about HIMS? Apparently they take the awkwardness out of treating ED, and the process is really straightforward.
HIMS? Yeah, my buddy gets his ED meds through them. Said their online process is much simpler than going to a doctor's office.
Oh, yeah, their entire process is only a few steps, and they only ship ED meds from certified pharmacies in the U.S. that are 100% FDA approved. All you got to do is go to forhims.com/radio. You just answer a few questions, select your treatment preferences, and fill out some health information. Then a healthcare provider reviews the info and determines which medication, if any, is right for you. If it's prescribed, it ships free right to your door.
I think I'm going to check these Hims guys out.
And get this, the ED medication I was prescribed is 90% cheaper than Viagra and has the same active ingredient. I can finally satisfy my partner.
For a free online consultation, go to forhims.com/radio.
What?
That's forhims.com/radio.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Darling. And I'm Jimmy Rollins. The official baseball rulebook is full of all sorts of strange rules. But the NFL rulebook is even weirder. We each come from different eras, and we each were taught to play the game in different ways. In this new podcast series, we're going to break down all of the unwritten rules that govern the game, from throwing out a batter to stealing bases.
Do you do the CBS one in the 10 o'clock hour or no? The CBS Sports Flash?
I don't know. I would say yes.
I'm going to text Lonzo and ask him to be sure.
Yeah.
He sent me a movie.
Yeah, me too. I got to watch it.
Pappy singing.
Pappy's the best. Pappy's the best.
That's funny. All right, about 45 seconds. Approximately.
Progressive's Home Court Explorer lets you easily compare our directories with multiple leagues. Now that we've covered something you could do, it's time for sports stuff you definitely could not do.
If you were head coach, you would not have gone for it on fourth down. Your confidence in your play calling ability might be a little overblown, considering you're barely confident in which restaurant to order takeout from, let alone choosing a play in front of 70,000 screaming fans.
But you definitely can use Progressive's Home Court Explorer to coverage for Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
All right, here we go.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Thank you guys for joining us. The Timinator, T2 Tim Snow filling in for the great one, Lonzo. I am Rob Brown. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-FAN phone. You can text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. I'm genuinely curious. Question I've wanted to ask you guys, and this Raiders story gives me an opportunity to do that. How much, for me, the answer to this question is a lot. How interested are you in these types of stories about leagues like the NFL, right? I mean, this story, it feels like on its surface, this story has the potential to be one of the biggest stories in the history of the National Football League. Because if John Gruden's attorneys, and I acknowledge that it is going to take a hell of a lot of evidence to do it. But if John Gruden's attorneys can bring enough evidence to the table to prove to a court that Roger Goodell and the National Football League selectively released emails that John Gruden sent. And yes, they were horrible emails. They were gross emails. They were disgusting emails. And I got no problem with a guy like John Gruden not working in the league, right? If I'm the boss, I make the same call without thinking about it. But if John Gruden's attorneys can prove to a court in the world that the Ginger Hammer and co. did indeed selectively release John Gruden's emails and sat on similar emails from other people within the league. As far as I'm concerned, the National Football League comes out looking every bit as bad, if not worse, than John Gruden, right? They come out looking every bit as bad, if not worse, than John Gruden because two things happen. Number one, they knew people within the National Football League were sending inappropriate, racist, bigoted, homophobic, whatever, misogynistic emails, racist emails, as John Gruden did. They know that language is happening within their office. They know that behavior is happening within that office. And then decided to sit on that information, right? Instead of cleaning house, instead of getting their stuff in order, they decided, nah, we will weaponize it against the guy we don't like. We will weaponize it against the guy we don't like. Remember, as I pointed out multiple times, Roger Goodell, it is reported that Roger Goodell has a brother who is gay. And Chucky said some things that got under Roger Goodell's skin. Roger Goodell was not a fan of John Gruden. And so if it comes out that Roger Goodell and the NFL were sitting on other emails that use similar language to what John Gruden used, then without a doubt it shows that the National Football League is willing to weaponize these emails and effectively have blackmail on people within the league to do what they want to do. That's every bit as gross, right? That's every bit as gross. And it just feels to me like suddenly, now knowing that the Raiders have picked a side and it is not the side of the National Football League, to know that the Raiders have picked a side against the NFL, that seems to me like the NFL now has somebody that was inside baseball for their side of this lawsuit on the other side. Who is going to have, this is some Game of Thrones stuff, man. Who is going to have more info, more knowledge about the inner workings of the National Football League than a team that is part of the inner workings of the National Football League? Now, I'm not saying they do have that information. I'm not saying they know anything. But I'm saying if Roger Goodell, right, the John Gruden emails, they were coming from and going to somebody. And if somebody sent John Gruden an email to which he replied with racist or bigoted or homophobic replies, if somebody sent John Gruden that email and got those emails back from John Gruden, it is not, I'm not saying he did receive emails in kind, but it would be 0% shocking if he received similar emails. And if he received similar emails and the National Football League sat on those but released the emails that John Gruden was involved in, you have now weaponized these emails, which is, again, also gross. And, by the way, a reason that John Gruden is going to win a very, very large paycheck from the National Football League, whether he's a bad guy or not. Whether he's a bad guy or not. So all of a sudden, this lawsuit went from something that I honestly really didn't bring up on the show since it was filed, right? I think 2 weeks ago when the court upheld this lawsuit and said this lawsuit can indeed go forward. I think I brought it up on the show less as a let's get into the nuts and bolts of this email and more along the lines of, okay, it's interesting. I hope they'll release the rest of the emails, right? Take a hell of a long time to pour over those emails, but you know the New York Times and Washington Post are going to assign some staff intern. Here's your 360,000 emails, pal. Go to town. Start looking. Start digging. See what you come up with. So I brought it up from the standpoint of I hope this forces the other emails to be released. But now that we know that John Gruden is using a set of attorneys that the Raiders have used for years, now that we can safely assume that they did this with the permission of the LV Raiders, unless the law firm comes out and we find out that the Raiders dropped this law firm, which would change this all right back to where we were 3 days ago. But I can't imagine a world unless the law firm thinks this case is just so open and shut, and that John Gruden's paycheck to the law firm is going to be fatter than whatever the Raiders have them on retainer for, right? Because it's not like the Raiders are going to sue a bunch of people and be racking in millions of dollars. This law firm would make millions of dollars off of John Gruden. So unless this law firm decided we will make more off of John Gruden's lawsuit being successful than we will make off of potential lawsuits of the Raiders moving forward, and they just said, screw the Raiders, we're out. We're going Team Chucky here. I can't imagine the Raiders didn't tell the law firm, yeah, we're good if you do that. And if they did that, they're on Chuck's team. And if they're on Chuck's team, they, again, will have more knowledge about to tell these attorneys what to look for than anybody else in the game. And if that is the case, all of the sudden, Roger Goodell now has a mole. Roger Goodell has a double agent. He's got a spy, and one that is very open now. But he's got a spy in his ranks, right? Now, I'm not saying Roger Goodell would have been sitting down in a meeting in Mark Davis at some point and said, oh, Mark, so-and-so, the VP of this department, also sent a racist email, but I'm not going to put that out there. But he would have sent memos about the lawsuit. He would have sent memos about the strategy and tactics the NFL plans on taking in this lawsuit. And if the Raiders are in John Gruden's corner and working with these attorneys in this suit behind closed doors, who's going to be able to feed them more useful information than a team in the league? How interested in this story are you? How intrigued are you in the thought that maybe John Gruden has a very, very unexpected ally in the Raiders, which might change the tide of this lawsuit to be much worse for Roger Goodell than it looked at its onset? A couple of texts that have come in on the Preferred Home Services text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAM. We'll read them on the air. Texter says, I give zero craps at all. That's a direct quote. I give zero craps at all. Should have never released any emails in the first place. Another texter says, heck, I'm on Chuck's team. I hope he smokes the NFL. He never should have gotten fired. I mean, I get it. I don't agree with you, but I get it. We'll talk more about it. The Braves bats woke up. Ronnie Acuna, how about a 4-for-4 day with a dinger yesterday against the Rockies? How about Matt Olson with 11 RBIs in 6 games? The bats of the Bravos have woken up. Is that enough to chase down the Mets? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more in the next hour of the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Okay. If Mark says anything, the CBS Sportscast only gave me like a minute of it. It cut off at the end, so I just put promos in to cover the 2 minutes.
All right, be right back, stream. Don't go anywhere. We back.
Back pain, or a hip that has you hobbling. Nothing matters more than getting you back to feeling your best. As South Carolina's most preferred orthopedic provider and official team doctor for the Gamecocks and Tigers, Prisma Health provides all the gear you need. With more expertise, more technology, and more locations closer to you. We're doing even more to help you be your healthiest you. Prisma Health, the orthopedic experts.
Mike Campbell here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in a dingy basement of a factory in 1986. Instead of customers, my visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. To psych myself up that I was going to succeed, I wore formal business attire and a tie to that lonely factory basement every day. I was a total type A business geek, crunching spreadsheets for my accounting. Today, my fifth successful business, Patriot Software, makes accounting simple for accountants and non-accountants alike, eliminating the need for many of us business geeks to crunch spreadsheets or wear formal business attire ever again. Go to patriotsoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of
All
accounting
right.
software free.
Is this done?
patriotsoftware.com.
Time and money.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Don't buy plastic
Is
toys.
it sad that I can almost recite all these commercials?
No.
Like
No, they're all stuck in my head.
Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Restore shine and protect your interior with Armor All cleaning and protectant wipes at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, buy 2 canisters of Armor All wipes and get 1 free. Plus, you'll earn
1, 2, 3.
double rewards
Perfect.
points. Clean, shine,
And
and
save.
protect with Armor All wipes.
All right, first 2 hours are saved.
O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
2 down, 1 to go.
5G is here. Big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with deals like our Silver Unlimited plan for just $45 a month and no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for $249.
All right, looking at about 20 seconds.
And 4.
Contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, make sure to cast your vote for the official combo meal of MLB.
Pass Chris in the hall, and he's like, "You're still here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm always here, dude."
I know the feeling.
Happy tastes good.
All right, 5 seconds. Sports radio.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, you beautiful, gorgeous people, you. I am Rob. Lonzo out this week on a well-earned vacation, getting his rest in. So we're joined, of course, by T2, Tim Snow, the Timinator, here on the show as we get the third and final hour of the show underway today. Steve Spurrier, I'm a fan of the head ball coach. Wildly entertaining guy. I've spent time with Steve away from the football field in the past. He was the keynote speaker at a banquet that I was a part of a number of years ago, and I got to spend some time with him. The dude, for all the talk about how wild Spurrier is, and you Gamecocks fans that spent time with Steve when he was around here, you know it's true. Steve is a guy, man. That personality never turns off. That personality never stops, right? Steve is just Steve all the time, and it's what makes Steve Spurrier so damn appealing. The head ball coach is the HBC, whether he's coaching or playing golf or giving a speech at a dinner. He is Steve Spurrier without apology, right? If you were a rival of Steve Spurrier, whether you're an FSU fan or a Gamecock fan or going way back, a Duke Blue Devil fan, or I guess a Carolina fan back in the day, you hated Steve because there was no holding back from Steve Spurrier. He was just unapologetically Steve Spurrier at all times, regardless of how you felt about it. And it was great. Love Steve. But Steve Spurrier received the AutoZone Liberty Bowl's Distinguished Citizen Award on Sunday and said that he supported players receiving name, image, and likeness deals, but wanted to change the game up a little bit. He said, quote, direct quote from Steve Spurrier, quote, "I don't like the idea of buying the players before they get there or giving them money before they get there. My suggestion would be go back to the original recruiting rules. After a player gets to a college, he does very well, he can do a deal and endorse. If someone wants to pay him a bunch of money, then it's perfectly all right. But they have to come and play 1 year, and then, it's a free country," end quote. Now, so that we're all on the same page, Steve Spurrier did endorse NIL. He said, I'm good with it. I'm good with guys being able to utilize their name, image, and likeness in order to get some scratch, which is good. I agree with Steve there. I find it ironic that Steve used the phrase, then it's a free country, in the same breath that he said, but I don't think guys should be able to get money, right? Now, granted, he said it for a year. He said for the first year, freshman year on campus, no NIL. Can't get NIL deals. That's not the same thing, Steve. That's not the same thing. To say, I think we should take this away from people because it's a free country. That's not what those words in that order and in that context mean, Steve. That's not what it means. Now, I know a lot of people who did not think that freshmen, that new guys on campus, that high school recruits should have NIL deals pitched to them. And I understand that. I actually, this is one of those spots where I kind of take a center ground, I think. Actually agree. I do not think that NIL deals should be pitched to high school seniors in order to attract them to a particular school. But if you wanted it handled that way, you should have handled that from the beginning, right? That should have been written into the rules in the very beginning, and it was not. You did not write that into the rules at the beginning when you had the opportunity. You just kind of rolled with it. You just kind of let it go. And so now businesses can tell high school seniors or juniors or sophomores, hey, this is the amount of money on the table as an NIL deal if you end up at this school. And again, I don't care, right? I don't care. The talent is being spread out, granted, amongst the top tier schools. I always kind of found it almost amusing, the people who made the argument that NIL deals were going to start sending talent away from the Ohio States and the Clemsons and start sending them to the Akrons of the world. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the fans, the boosters of those big schools are always going to have more money than the alumni and the boosters of the smaller schools. That's just how numbers work. That's just how numbers work. So Ohio State and Michigan are going to have higher level boosters, higher prestige boosters, and most importantly of all, richer boosters than the Central Michigan Chippewas, right? That's just how it works. As I said on last week's show, when this conversation popped up. There is only one thing. There is only one thing that is different from what the NIL used to be. The only thing that has changed, the only thing that is different is the destination of the money. Ryan Day last week said, based on the averages of NIL going around right now, we, the Ohio State University, expect that we will need about $13 million worth of NIL on the table to keep the assembly of talent that we have on this roster so far. So we need $13 million in order to keep the squad together the way we've built it. And people started jumping out of their chairs. My goodness. $13 million for college kids. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And hell yeah, it's a lot of money. I suspect there may be, I don't know, 1, 2 people listening to this station at any given point that have or make $13 million. I could be wrong, but I'm probably not. It's a lot of money spread out amongst kids. But here's the thing. Nothing has changed, right? Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed except the destination of the money. See, Ryan Day gets in front of a club full of boosters, and he says, we need $13 million in order to keep this team together. And of course that's noteworthy, because it is the first time that a college coach has put a quantitative amount of money of NIL on the table. But it is the 40 billionth time that a college coach has said we need X amount of dollars, right? I was working for a sports talk radio station down in Destin, Florida, when the Florida State University Seminoles, an hour and 45 minutes from my station, started trying to raise money to build an indoor practice football facility, right? And whenever Jimbo or Willie Taggart or Bobby Bowden or whoever was the coach at the time would come to town, I'd go to their banquets, their dinners, their booster meetings, whatever it might be. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I heard coaches say, well, you know, in order for this school, in order for Florida State to maintain its status as a top-tier program, we need to be able to match the amenities of the University of Florida. So the next project we have on the table is an indoor football practice facility so that when the weather sucks and the lightning is rolling through, we can still practice to keep this team on its game. And in order to build this indoor practice facility, we need $17 million, $10 million, $22 million, whatever the case might be. When Alabama, back in 2019, was working on building a recruiting center. That's all it was. A big facility just to bring recruits to and show off hardware and project them photoshopped into an Alabama jersey up on the wall and go, look at how rich we are. And you get all the benefits if you come here. I promise you that Nick Saban at some point walked multiple times into rooms full of very rich boosters paying $200 a plate to listen to Coach Saban talk about Alabama football. And he said, in order to build this recruiting facility that we need, and we need it, in order to build this recruiting facility, we need this many millions of dollars. We need this much money. The only difference between then and now is now when Ryan Day says we need 13 mil, he's not saying we need 13 mil for a recruiting facility, for a new locker room because we want to build a water slide in our weight room, which is all things that have happened. Now he says we need 13 mil so the players get a cut. Steve Spurrier says, I'm on board with that. I got no problem with players catching NIL dollars, which is good. I agree with him. But I do find it comical that he would say, except freshmen, screw them. Screw them. Screw them coming in, man. Right? I want to limit the dollars. I don't know, man. I don't think you can follow that sentence up with it's a free country. Right? I don't think you can follow, I don't think freshmen should get to catch bucks from NIL boosters until they've been on campus for a year. But then it's cool because it's a free country. It's one or the other, Steve. Now, if you want to argue in favor of regulation, that's fine. I got buddies of mine we talk about this stuff off the air with, right? I've got buddies of mine that are absolutely like, yeah, we should not allow NIL. Freshmen should not get money. I got one who said freshmen and sophomores should not get money. Why? Because that will, if they can get money their junior year, it will encourage more kids to stay instead of bailing for the NFL. I got news for you. If I got NFL talent, if I knowingly have NFL talent, if I knowingly have draftable talent, or hell, undrafted free agent talent, well, Rob, you can stay and you can play college ball for a college education, or you can go play on the New York Jets practice squad for $500K a year. I got news for you. That's an easy call for me. Easy call for me. I'm gone, Jack, because you know what I can buy with $500,000 a year? A college degree. That's how college works for everybody else. It's an easy call, man. It's an easy call. I'm in Steve's camp here. But if you wanted to regulate it, you need to be pointing your guns at the NCAA, who absolutely cowarded their way out of putting some rules down. I'm not going to ask the kids who have finally caught their break to give something back that has been given to them. Why? Because I want it that way. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Whether it is politics or legislation or religion or anything else, if you want a change, you have to give a reason for the change, and I don't like it isn't a reason. I don't agree with it isn't a reason. Prove to me it's bad. Prove to me it's detrimental, and then we'll take a shot at it. Steve also said that he wants a 16-team playoff. There you go, Steve. Now we're good. High fives all around. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Keep wrapping up this hour. I'm Rob. T2 rejected the Zydeco music. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yeah, it's weird to just have Zydeco music.
Yeah.
But I like it. But I like it. But I like it.
I just didn't.
Oh, I don't care.
I didn't think it would. I forgot that you're from there.
Lonzo put that in for Mardi Gras and they just left it in there.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're cool with it, I didn't know if you were or not, so I was just like, okay, well, just go safe then. All right. Oh, I got some time. All right, be right back.
Yes, sir.
Here's the upstate's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. For today, sunny to partly cloudy skies with high temperatures in the mid-80s. For tonight, partly cloudy, low of 68. A chance for storms on Tuesday, 87, or scattered storms Wednesday, mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Michael Carroll on the Fan Upstate. Right now, it's 76.
Folks, this coming weekend,
Oh, did I tell you I got a new guitar?
No, what'd you get?
Well, I got it for free. A friend of mine from church gave it to me. It was free, so it's a Fender Squire.
Nice, man. Strat or Telly?
It's Strat. I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna replace the pickups on it with some humbuckers and some was it SSH? The two single coils and then the humbucker on the bottom.
I'm a single coil guy.
I like both because I play a lot of metal and stuff, so I want the best of both worlds.
I play Strat.
Yeah, I have two of them. I have my my nice one that I got when I was a kid, that I grew up with, and then I have the new one I just got. He's also giving me a drum set, dude.
Like that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that, man. It's gonna be fun. I tell you what I'd like to get is a Martin or a Taylor. I play a lot of acoustic stuff. God, man, this thing sounds so good.
The lead singer of my band plays an acoustic Martin.
Those things are amazing.
It's unreal.
Dude.
It's like a $3,200 acoustic guitar. And
I got
it sounds like a dream.
I got one of the knockoff ones. That, it's a 12-string, and even it sounds good.
Yeah. Like the Martin's second tier sounds as good as like Alvarez first tier. I play an Alvarez, and I love my Alvarez.
Yeah.
It's got a very full sound.
I played one before.
Yeah, I love my Alvarez, but like those Martins are just so bright and shiny, man. They sound great.
I know they have that ring on them that just unique to it.
Yep. Yep.
Taylor too has its own tone as well that I like. I like both, honestly. All right, 15 seconds.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. I am Rob Brown. T2, Tim Snow, the Timinator, is filling in for the great one. Lonzo out on vacation. Let me rapid fire through a couple of stories here that I wanted to get into. Start with some Panthers news. This is from Angelina Martin, writing for NBC Sports. Angelina is reporting that at one point, and we knew the Panthers were interested in Baker Mayfield, right? We've got that pretty much down, but just could not reach a viable cost for that trade with Cleveland. They basically offered Cleveland an option. You can pay most of his salary and get him for a decent return, or you can pay less of his salary and get a crappier draft pick, and the Browns weren't good with either situation, so that trade fell apart. Angelina Martin is now reporting that the 49ers and Panthers may have had talks about bringing Jimmy Garoppolo into the fold. The Panthers, according to Martin, were seen as a possible landing spot for Jimmy Garoppolo, but the Panthers and Charlotte Observer reporter Jonathan Alexander say the Panthers were not on board because of the $30 million salary coupled with his injury history. Alexander wrote for the Charlotte Observer that while the Panthers needed an upgrade at quarterback over Darnold, because obviously it likely will be a one-year rental since they wouldn't be starting Matt Corral right away, but would want him to learn under Jimmy G. And even though Garoppolo would be a perfect fit for that role, the Panthers did not consider paying $30 million for that position, which, remember, the most they would have had to pay for Baker for a single year was $18 million, because Baker's contract with the Browns was front-loaded. He was owed $18 million. They wanted Cleveland to pay like $12 million of that and take a third-rounder-ish for him. So $30 million for Jimmy G just was not going to happen. The 49ers want to trade Garoppolo if at all possible, as opposed to just straight up releasing him and getting nothing in return, though there are rumors that they may very well decide to keep him on the roster ultimately in the backup role to Trey Lance, which would make sense. You hate to bench a guy who brought you to the NFC Championship game last year, but if you're ready to make that move and Trey is your guy, you can't worry about the feelings of Jimmy G. But you also don't want to just get rid of him, have to pay him a bunch of money and get nothing in return. Unfortunately for the 49ers, the QB market, the teams that need a quarterback right now, or at least want a quarterback right now, it's pretty much Carolina at this point, right? Maybe Cleveland, since they only owe Deshaun $1 million this year. Maybe Cleveland would take a one-year flyer. But that's the extent of the QB market that's available right now. That's the extent of the QB market that is available at this moment. And if the Panthers aren't in for $30 million, that might end that talk now. We'll talk more about that later on in this week. United States men's national team looked surprisingly good in their 3-0 victory over Morocco a handful of days ago. Yesterday evening, they got the opportunity for World Cup tune-up game number 2 when they took on Uruguay, the best team of the, 4 that the Americans will face in World Cup tune-ups, They have already qualified for the world's biggest sporting event in November and December. 180 minutes of friendly soccer played over the past 2 weeks. 90 of it looked really good against Morocco. 90 of it looked massively uninspired against Uruguay yesterday. 3 goals scored, none conceded, but all 3 against Morocco. Scoreless draw against Uruguay. There was a point in time with American soccer that I would have said, okay, a 3-0 win over a World Cup qualified Morocco and a 0-0 draw against Uruguay is a good showing. But I'll also tell you, I thought we were past that, right? 3-0 win over Morocco, spectacular. Had an identity offensively. The back line looked shaky, but not awful. But once they were able to get the ball moving forward, the American offense looked good. And I thought to myself, hey, pretty good. Pretty good. They got an identity. And I expected to see that identity show itself once again against Uruguay, and it did not. It did not. There were vulnerabilities. The back line looked like an absolute mess. Whatever progress they made to look disjointed but good enough against Morocco, they were once again a mess against Uruguay. Now, they were able to keep everything out of the net, which is good news, against a pretty good Uruguay squad. But, man, they needed to be better. Needed to be better across the back line, because a better back line cutting out opportunities creates more chances for the Americans. More chances, one finds the net. There were a couple of moments that the United States looked a threat and then just fell apart. But you give them another 10, 12 efforts on goal, they're going to find one. They're going to find one. Jesus Ferreira, Haji Wright scored on that PK against Morocco. Neither one of them looked like they were the guy up front. Aaron Long, Eric Palmer-Brown, both guys getting their first action for the last, while under the red, white, and blue, looked questionable across the back line. This, by the way, was Uruguay's B-plus team. This was their B-plus team. This was not the best Uruguay has. It certainly was far from a JV team, but it was not their best. It wasn't our best either. Remember, and this is the part that gives me a little bit of optimism. Part of the reason we had the lineup we had is because this is our last few shots to experiment. These are our last few times to tinker, to toy, to mess with the lineup and try to find the guys. Yesterday's group was not the guys. That was not it. Now, there are some other things that have to be dealt with. Miles Robinson went down with that torn Achilles a month ago or so. Part of the U.S. defense fell apart when that happened. Walker Zimmerman established himself as a starting center back. Robinson was playing relatively well with him. He should be back for the World Cup. That would be a big boost. But the center backs for the Americans against that match yesterday were questionable at best. Questionable at best. There were a couple of times that Moroccan strikers were getting the center backs turned around. Uruguay did the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Uruguay had an opportunity in stoppage time where they got a goal in deep one-on-one and sent it wide of the net for no excusable reason. The Americans should have lost in the 94th minute last night. And that happened because the center backs were once again off the line, out of position, and just looked bad. Got to figure that out. And finally, the Americans are going to be worthless until they find a striker, until they find the guy. Ferreira had a header on the Uruguayan doorstep that he just missed. Just missed. And until those misses start becoming hits, we're in trouble. Now, that being said, keep in mind, Jesus Ferreira came on 30 minutes deep, played 60. That is all we have of this guy. And who knows what the nerves were like for the guy strapping on the red, white, and blue for the first time. This team is going to find itself. This team is going to find itself. It's going to find some chemistry, but they got one more shot. They got 90 more minutes. And then it's just all concept until we square off with Wales in November in match number 1 of Group B of the World Cup. I hope they don't waste it. I hope they don't waste it. Tampa Bay, the Lightning last night trailed the New York Rangers. They were already down 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. They were down 2-0 in the second period, won Game 3 at home last night, 3-2, cut the Rangers lead to 2-1. Andres Palat scored the game-winning goal with 42 seconds left in regulation off of a dandy of a pass from Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov was a factor in all 3 Lightning goals, which is exactly what Tampa Bay needs if they want a shot at erasing an 0-2 deficit and making their way to a 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup. Nikita Kucherov has got to take over right now. Igor Shesterkin has been phenomenal since about Game 3 of that series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Kucherov and co. have got to get better. Andrei Vasilevsky did all that he could last night. All that he could. Watch that series, man. Watch that series. It's been spectacular. All right, when we come back, we rapid fire through 2 or 3 more stories. Twitter trending topics calls it a day. Rob T2, you, the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics, ladies and gentlemen. QC Kinetics, we've got the opportunity to partner up with QC Kinetics, and I always do whenever we get the opportunity to partner up with somebody. I go, does it work? Does it work? I don't want to come in here and shill for something that doesn't work. So, when we got the opportunity, I checked with QC Kinetics. I talked to them, and I read up on the science behind what they do, and it does. It is the reason that for years, professional athletes have traveled overseas to get the exact non-surgical regenerative therapies that QC Kinetics offers. Pro players have traveled the world to get this therapy. Now you can get it in your own backyard. Locations right here in Asheville and in Greenville. It's non-surgical regenerative therapy. They take your body's own healing factors, they accelerate it, and they restore and heal the joints that have lost all that connective tissue. That connective tissue is regenerated, it is healed, it's restored. The healing factor increases the rate at which it happens, and now you don't have to deal with joint pain or the impact that it has on your life. Check them out online at qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com, or give them a buzz at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free with our friends at QC Kinetics.
All right. I need a favor.
Yep.
I have a Prisma Health in the same break. Do you mind doing it in this break?
Nope, not at all.
So that we can line up the end.
Yep. Totally fine.
Okay, I have it up after Ingles. You want to bet over it or anything?
No, you can just stop it and I'll take over.
All right, I'll let you know right before.
And you said it's who? Sorry, Prisma?
It's Prisma Health. I'll do better with this tomorrow. I'm sorry. It's Monday.
I am aware.
I love Mondays, man. I think I can hit it from here. Try to give you plenty of time in between.
God, dude, I heard that. Golly.
Yeah. It's from years of skating and headbanging. Kia says it sounds like a snap bracelet in the morning. $11.50 for the trending topics, right? The Twitter.
Yeah,
trending.
$11.50. Yes, sir.
All right. Just gonna go ahead and drop that in 3, so I already have it there. Okay. Just wanna hear it real quick. So I want to hear what it sounds like. Okay, cool. All right. All right, so right after this, 20 seconds. You got that Prisma Health.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our friends at Prisma Health, the official healthcare provider of the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Their most important asset is their student athletes, and the health and well-being of their student athletes is their priority. So why do the Gamecocks and Tigers both use Prisma Health? They both use Prisma Health because the healthcare and well-being of their student athletes is the priority of Prisma Health as well. And it will be the same for you and your family. Prisma Health make sure that you find the doctor or healthcare provider that you work best with, that communicates well with you, that shares well with you, so that when you have a healthcare need or concern, they are right there with you every step of the way. You're going to find the doctor that communicates and works well with you. They are going to have the most up-to-date knowledge and information about the healthcare need that you have, and with the state-of-the-art equipment in Prisma facilities all around the upstate, you can be sure that you can get the exact healthcare you need from somebody who knows what you need with the equipment you need to help in a spot that's convenient and local to you. Check them out online at prismahealth.org. prismahealth.org. Go see our friends at Prisma Health right here in the upstate.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah, man.
That way I'm not like pulling my hair out at the end of the show. Let me add that up real quick. 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. I need 2 of these. Fifty-four, 55, 56, 57, 58. Oh, you don't have time. You have 15 seconds. Do you want me to grab you some?
Nope, you're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of the show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, T2, Tim Snow, filling in for the great one, Lonzo, who is on vacation and will rejoin us coming up next week. A few more stories I wanted to knock out here before we get Twitter trending topics on the way out the door. How about a little old guy on old guy violence? Not actual violence, but it would be funny.
Yeah, I've seen old people fight on Facebook, and it's funny.
You're on weird internet websites.
No, it was on Facebook.
Facebook's the worst. All right. So we are watching the Saudi-backed professional golf league get underway. We know some of the names that are on this tour. Dustin Johnson, Columbia's own, had become the first big name on the tour and will, I think, effectively renounce his ability to play on the PGA Tour. Kevin Na joined as well. Kevin Na has decided to bail on the PGA Tour and start playing on the LIV Tour as well. Well, Jack Nicklaus, yes, that guy, that really old but used to be very good golfer. Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman are at it now. Now, Greg Norman, of course, the Aussie choke artist, is the primary face of the LIV Golf Tour, a $225 million series of tournaments that have divided the sport, and some are hopeful and some hate and some don't believe that it will challenge the credibility and the ability to succeed of the PGA Tour. Jack Nicklaus said at one point in recent history, like the last week or so, that he's not a fan of the idea He's not a fan of the tour, of the Live Tour. He's not on board. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like the direction that it is going. Greg Norman is now calling Jack Nicklaus out. He said that Greg Norman is a, quote, hypocrite, end quote. Norman told the Washington Post, quote, 100% truth, Jack is a hypocrite. When he came out with those comments, I'm thinking Jack must have a short memory. Quote unquote, and I'm quoting Greg Norman, who said, quote unquote, he said, this is good for our game. If it's good for the game of golf, it's good by me. So, you want the facts? You've got the facts. Know what you said before you open your mouth, end quote. A spokesperson for Nicklaus issued a statement to the Washington Post wishing Norman well, but reiterating Nicklaus's, quote, unwavering support, end quote, for the PGA Tour. Now, Jack's got his own drama going on. He is currently being sued by his own business, Nicklaus Companies, after a complaint was filed with the Supreme Court of the state of New York over an alleged breach of contract, end quote. Now, the reason all these stories are coming out in the last week and a half is because the inaugural Live Golf event starts at Centurion Golf Club at St. Albans on Thursday, with 2020 Masters champion Dustin Johnson, the biggest attraction at the tournament, a $25 million purse on the line. The winner of first place will take home $4 million. The 48-man field and their caddies will receive all expenses paid, luxury travel and accommodation, with organizers promising the players the, quote, Tiger Woods treatment, end quote. There is one spot remaining in the field of 48 right now, and the person filling that spot is expected to be announced today. The belief going on is that it will be Phil Mickelson. You know, Phil, a couple of weeks back, got called out for the comments that he made regarding the tour and the Saudi royals in charge of it and their connection with the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The lefty, the hefty lefty, kind of dropped out of the public eye after that. And the rumor is he may have done that knowing that he was going to, a la the Royal Rumble, come out as entrant number 48 closer to the tournament. Obviously, him being there and practicing and starting up, getting ready for this tour would have given that secret away. So the announcement will come later today if it is him. It may not be, but we'll see. So Jack Nicklaus initially thought I'm in, saw the blowback, bailed back out, said, yeah, take it back. And now Greg Norman is in his throat, man. Greg Norman's after him at this point. That's about as bold of a comment as you can make. And I got to tell you, the fact that your tour is funded by a murderous crown prince of Saudi Arabia is already a bad look, right? It's already a bad look. Your primary funder, your primary benefactor, being a guy who we now know is directing murders of journalists he doesn't like, is a bad enough look. Greg, my advice to you would be the Will Smith treatment. Keep Jack's name out your mouth. That'd be my advice. Maybe just shut it up, dude. Maybe just shut it up. You are already going to have a hard enough time whitewashing where your money's coming from. You're going to have a hard enough time trying to cover up the funding of this tour and sports will erase a lot, right? Ray Lewis allegedly killed a dude, but then he went and won a Super Bowl, and now Ray gets to go on ESPN and talk about how great God is. Why? Because sports will cover up bad stuff for you if you're good at them. I don't think Greg knows that the best way to have this tour be successful would be to shut the hell up and let the guys on the tour play golf. The best way to have this tour succeed would be to shut your mouth and just let the golfers golf, right? Even if you just went away, Greg, and you let the golfers golf, when this event goes down, I promise you, there are going to be television networks that are really deciding, do we show highlights from this, right? Do we treat this as a legitimate sports outlet? Do we cover the tournaments? Do we engage in the tournaments? Do we report on the tournaments? Or do we just go, Dustin Johnson won this week on the LIV Tour. Let's cut to highlights of the PGA Tour event this weekend. But when you're out there taking runs at Jack Nicklaus, one of, if not the most beloved golfers of all time, even if you think you have a point, maybe Jack did support it at the beginning and then saw where the money is coming from, saw that it's a bad look and backed away from it, right? Even if he did, that's not being a hypocrite. That's changing your opinion based on data and information, which is a good thing. But even if he did, even if he was the most raw, unbridled hypocrite in America, Greg, no one likes the way this looks. No one's in your corner. So to take that and then make a run at the probably second most beloved golfer of all time behind only Tiger is not going to make you any more fans, my guy. It's not going to make you any more fans. People aren't going to be lining up now and going, oh yeah, Jack's right. Or sorry, Greg's right about Jack. So I'm a LIV Tour fan now. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. All right. Let's, you know what? What the hell? Let's do this and get out of here. Let's do a little Twitter on the way out the door.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right. Twitter's trending topic of the day, number one, is many remember D-Day when on June 6, 1944, Allied forces invaded the coast of Normandy to retake the land from the Axis forces, gaining a victory that became a turning point in World War II. So that's trending today.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade towards which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. He will fight savagely, but this is the year 1944. Much has happened since the Nazi triumphs of 1940 and 41. The United Nations have inflicted upon the Germans great defeats in open battle, man-to-man. Our air offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. Our home fronts have given us an overwhelming superiority in weapons and munitions of war and placed at our disposal great reserves of trained fighting men. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking. End quote. The D-Day invasions in Normandy, France, at Juno, Gold, Omaha, Utah, and Sword Beaches were arguably the most important military struggle of all time for the world as a whole. And at this point, so many years ago, a bunch of no doubt terrified young men huddled on those Wiggins boats as they approached the beach, watched those flanks go down, watched their friends, their comrades gunned down by machine gun fire in a mist of blood before storming the beach and overwhelming the Nazis, opening up the ability for the Allies to begin to approach Germany and Berlin. Those people were freaking heroes. They were heroes. They stared into the eyes of death. Many of them, by the thousands, succumbed to death that day, and they did it because there was a raw evil on the world that had to be eradicated for the good of mankind, and we will never, ever, ever forget the sacrifice of those men. We thank them every single day for it. That's it for us. T2, nice job today, buddy. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow, pal.
Yep, I'll be here.
To everybody else, we appreciate you listening. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Stream, thank you guys for watching.